can heal this home.
Hi, and welcome to the second session in our Love Is series for the home groups. I'm so glad that you're joining us on this series as we explore what love is. Again, we're here in sunny and hot Caloocan, Philippines, and it's just been a real joy over the last few days to be able to serve the community here. At our last session we looked at philanthropia, or kindness, or doing good to others, and I don't think I can personally, if I can really explain how it personally feels even to be able to see the effect that you can have on another person when you are kind and patient to them. So could I encourage you to even reflect on last week's session and think, how can I show patience and kindness as a part of my life? How can I build into my life a space to do some good things or kind things to others who have less? Christianity started by ministry to the poor and the needy, the widows and the sinners, and really it made all the difference. Today we're looking at the next few collection of verbs that describe what love is. We're looking at envy, boastful, arrogant, and rude. And the passage describes, and it says that love is not all of those things. Today we're going to talk about what do you do when things are going good for you, when things are going well. Coming to a place like this, it is so easy for us to see the contrast. And everybody in our team of 34, when I talk to them, they suddenly realize, wow, things are going really good for us. I mean, we are in a bus. We have access to air conditioning and good food, and in Melbourne we're really blessed. So I think all of us fall into the category of, well, it's going good for us. But what happens sometimes when things go good is, well, we can become boastful. We can say, well, I've succeeded. I'm the top of my class. I got that promotion. And because of a kind of insecurity that goes on inside, we feel the need to tell others and to rub it into everybody else and really to boast. And if we dissect what boasting is, it really is our need to affirm ourselves verbally to others to fill that hole. Sometimes when things are going well for us and we think we're the boss and we're a level above everybody else, we can become arrogant. Love is not arrogant, but we can become arrogant. We could go around and say, and because we genuinely think, well, we are better. We just, I'm senior pastor and you should be doing things for me. I've hit the top of the hierarchy, and so we can become arrogant. I think sometimes in our arrogance, and if we think, and things are going really well for us, sometimes we think it gives us the permission to be rude. And I've certainly come across, and sometimes caught even in my own life, times when I've become rude. Probably the hardest one to grapple with when things go well is envy. It says love does not envy, and I never realized this. I always thought my issue was, if things go well with me, maybe I'm boastful and maybe I'm arrogant. But somewhere in the midpoint, or lately, maybe after 10 years of marriage to my wife, I discovered I became envious of my wife. Envy is when something goes well for you, and because things go well for you, you look at somebody else who maybe has it a lot better, and suddenly you're not appreciative of what's gone well with you. You look across and you go, well, I want that. You maybe bought your new Honda Accord, and your neighbor gets a BMW, and you look across and you're envious of that, even though you've just got a new car, or even though something has just happened that's good to you. For me, that was, things were going quite well for me with, with church, and I'm really enjoying my role in ministry. But when my wife became a dental assistant, I never thought I'd experience this, but she had days where, it was quite free. And so she would go into the office, and maybe 1 or 2 patients would come into the clinic, and she would have had time to do some reading, or maybe play some games on her mobile phone, and she could message her friends, and she'd come home, and I'd be really envious. You know what it's like with a family with young kids, you're always short on time, and I've had a busy day rushing from one thing to another, and I'm maxed out, and I get home and my wife has gone up 20 levels in Candy Crush, or has read, and I was envious, and part of me did not want the best for her. I couldn't celebrate her success, and I lost the joy of mine. Let's look at today's passage in John 13, verse 3 to 5. I'm going to read that. And it starts with Jesus at the pinnacle, at the tip of his sort of ministry career. It's like he became senior pastor. Listen to this. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, he rose from supper and he laid aside his outer garments. So Jesus, wow, he's made it now, and he knows it. And taking the towel, he tied it around his waist, and then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet. And he wiped them with the towel that was wrapped around him. And he came to Simon Peter. And Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" And you can understand, Simon Peter, he had this view that if things were going well, you should be in charge. You should lord it over people. You get to call the shots. Simon was brash. He was the one who came out and protected Jesus and said, I'd never leave you. And so Simon says, Jesus, you're not going to wash my feet. In verse 7 he says, what I am doing now you do not understand, but afterwards you will understand. And in verse 8 Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. And Jesus said, at the end of verse 8, if I do not wash you, you have no share with me. And then after that, Peter gets it. Jesus is very clear that his religion, Christianity, he himself, God himself, the pinnacle of that is to serve one another. What do we do when things go well with us? Well, we use the blessing that God has given us to bless others. It is not the chance to be arrogant, boastful, rude, or envious. When we get a lot, we should give a lot. I hope you have a robust discussion today as we explore that. God bless.